Today's topic of discussion is insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. Introduction. In 1947, when independence was granted to the former imperial domain of British India, it was partitioned into two countries, India and Pakistan. There were more than 500 princely states in India at the time of independence who were given the option to join either India or Pakistan or to remain independent. Maharaja Hari Singh of Jammu and Kashmir did not exercise this option. He instead offered a proposal of standstill agreement to both India and Pakistan. The Maharaja took this decision because he felt that Muslims would be unhappy with accession to India and Hindus and Sikhs would be vulnerable if he joined Pakistan. Maharaja faced uprising from the Muslims in Poonch and lost control of western districts. On 24th October 1947, in the early hours, Pashtun tribesmen from northwest Porentier province and Pakistani soldiers invaded Kashmir and acquired parts of North Kashmir. On reaching Baramulla, they took to plunder and stalled there for a few days. The Pakistani forces were just 50 kilometers away from Srinagar. Maharaja Hari Singh requested military assistance from India on 26 October 1947 to suppress the invasion. On the same day, he fled from Srinagar to Jammu. Due to Governor General Lord Mountbatten's insistence, V.P. Menon, representative of Jawaharlal Nehru, informed the Maharaja to accede before the troops could be sent. The instrument of accession of the state to the domain of India was signed by the Maharaja. Indian troops were airlifted on 27th October 1947 and the forces stopped the capture of Srinagar by Pakistani forces. The state of Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed special status under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. As a result, there was limited involvement of the centre in the development of Kashmir, and hence a sense of alienation prevailed. Some felt that Kashmir should be an independent state that is neither belong to India nor Pakistan, whereas Pakistan wanted Kashmir to be a part of it. And therefore, Pakistan fought 3 wars and made every attempt to subvert peace and prosperity. Let us discuss the reasons for the growth of insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. After Sheikh Abdullah's death on September 1982, his son Farooq Abdullah took over as Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. First point, Maqbul Butt executed. In February 1984, Indian diplomat Ravindra Matre in UK was kidnapped by the National Liberation Army, which demanded release of Maqbul Butt. The possibility of police raids, kidnappers panicked and shot dead the diplomat. Maqbul Butt was executed 6 days later. Strikes and protests were held in Jammu and Kashmir, which was put down with a heavy hand by the security forces. Now Farooq Abdullah was replaced by Ghulam Muhammad Shah. Second point, religious fanaticism. Ghulam Muhammad Shah decided to construct a temple within the Jammu Secretariat for employees to offer namaz. The Kashmiri Hindus protested and even removed the mosque. During this period, he visited Srinagar and made a statement that Islam is in danger. It was during this period that the Ayodhya Ram Mandir doors were unlocked for Hindu worship. This resulted in violence and 8 cities were under curfew. Anantnag was the worst hit because temples here were attacked. The shops, houses and properties owned by Kashmiri Hindus were destroyed. This led to many Kashmiri Hindus shifting to Jammu and Udhampur. This violence creators had the blessings of political parties and politicians. To pacify and to bring order, an accord was signed between Rajiv Gandhi and Farooq Abdullah in November 1986. And as per this accord, Farooq Abdullah was reinstated as the chief minister, and this accord prepared a roadmap for stabilizing the state. Third point, interference of central government. In the 1987 elections, the Muslim United Front was expected to sweep the election. Instead, Farooq Abdullah's National Conference, in alliance with the Congress, won the election. This was due to alleged rigging of election in favor of Farooq Abdullah, which led to demonstrations, strikes and attacks on the government. Thus, one could clearly see an attempt made by the central government to control state politics of Jammu and Kashmir. Fourth point, support from Pakistan. Those who had lost the elections formed or joined militant groups. They were provided logistical support and arms training from Pakistan. Along with insurgency groups, foreign fighters from Afghanistan, due to the end of the Soviet war, and other Islamic countries from Middle East assisted them in their struggle against the Indian rule. These ISI-trained militants were arrested under Terrorist and Disruptive Act or Kashmir Disturbed Act or Public Safety Act or Armed Forces Special Powers Act, but later on released due to political decisions. About 40 terrorists were released between July and December 1990. The reason given for their release was to allow breathing space to join mainstream politics. It was later found that those released later led many terrorist organizations destroying peace in Kashmir. Fifth point, the Kashmiri Muslim youths in hordes travelled from Lal Chowk in Srinagar to Bandipora in district Baramulla to cross over to Pakistan for arms training. The madrasas financed and run by Jamaat-e-Islami was radicalizing the youth in the valley. These activities were not stopped by law enforcing agencies and no one was arrested or punished. This clearly showed state patronage to militants and their organizations. Sixth, kidnapping of Rabia Sayed. In December 1989, Rubia Sayed, the daughter of Home Minister of India, Mufti Muhammad Sayed, in the VP Singh's government, was kidnapped by Kashmiri separatist militants in Srinagar. To secure her release, 5 jailed members of the Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front were released. During this period, there was mass support for militants even on the streets of Kashmir. This gave massive push to insurgency. Had the VP Singh's government not buckled, things would have been different. Seventh point, crimes of Indian Army. Farooq Abdullah believed that unemployment had driven the Muslim youths to the wall and in utter desperation and frustration they had crossed the borders to POK for arms training. He also held the view that the Indian army had committed crimes like torture, rape, and used pellet guns on rioters and stone pelters. In reality, trade, commerce, horticulture, transport and tourism were all in the hands of the Muslims. If they were suffering, then the government should have taken steps to redress their grouse. Eighth point, insider support. A religious political organization like Allah Wale held a 7-day convention which was attended by politicians including the chief minister and the bureaucrats, where the campaign managers spoke to Kashmiri people, exhorting them to strive hard for Islamic rule and law, thus whipping up the religious frenzy of the Kashmiris. The government made no attempt to arrest the organizers who were spreading hatred against India. Another organization, Dukataran Milat, that is Daughters of the Muslim Community, was involved in all types of subversive and terrorist activities. The government turned a blind eye to their acts. The Jhelum Valley Medical College in Srinagar was established without proper structure, and the Samaj Sudhar Society, which was established as a social organization to weed out the evils that had seeped into the Muslim society. Both of them were used as a conduit for flaming insurgency from the money sent by Muslim countries and donations sent by Muslims from within the country. What was shocking is the chief minister himself donated a sum of rupees 1 lakh from government coffers to the society. What was equally shocking was the use of state apparatus to highlight the activities of the society through press notes. The question was, why was the chief minister not doling out money to Hindu non-governmental organizations for the upliftment of the society members of the Hindus? The Muslim Waqf owned properties worth crores of rupees. When the Waqf laid its hands on Hindu property in collusion with the bureaucracy by tampering or erasing or fraudulently manipulating the records, the government should have stopped this illegal ways of acquiring Hindu properties. Ninth, threat to Hindus. Office buildings, shops, establishments were all painted green. Hindu temples and properties vandalized and gutted. People were forced to reset their time to Pakistan Standard Time. Walls were posted with posters threatening people to abide by Islamic dress code. Kidnapping of Kashmiri Hindus and targeted killings of their community, including high-profile government employees, open threats in local newspapers, walls and doors of Hindus asking them to leave Kashmir immediately. When the Kashmiri Pandits saw no action being taken and that the police were mere spectators, they met the Chief Minister and other ministers who just made tall promises but were not provided security and justice. The governor, Jagmohan, mentioned about the deteriorating condition in Jammu and Kashmir to Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi through letters reminding him that ignoring the volatile situation was to commit sins of historical proportions. The state government ignored the loot and mayhem which had engulfed Kashmir. The central government too ignored the signals of danger engulfing Kashmir, which threatened the sovereignty and integrity of India. Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah submitted his resignation to the Governor Jagmohan on 19th January 1990. On the same day, in the Kashmir Valley, in the evening, electricity was cut, except in mosques from where divisive and inflammatory messages were broadcasted. There are two views with respect to Farooq Abdullah's resignation. One was his dislike of Jagmohan, and the other was that he lost the plot because his desire for independent Kashmir went beyond his control because the ISI network of Pakistan had dug deep roots into the Muslim masses of Kashmir. Thousands of Kashmiri Hindus left through the night because of the threat they faced to their life. According to reports, 90% of the Hindus residing in the valley left their homes. Thus, it has been said that there has been ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Hindus at the hands of the Islamist, separatist and terrorist. On the resignation of the Chief Minister, President's rule was declared in Kashmir, which lasted for 6 years, that is till October 1996. The Indian government dissolved the assembly on February 19, 1990, and about 1,25,000 government troops were deployed in Jammu and Kashmir to control insurgency. Pakistan fought 3 wars with India without any tangible gains. So to subvert peace in Kashmir, a strategy was devised by involving the Muslims of Kashmir, regimenting them against India, feeding them half-truths and lies, calling upon them to wake up as Islam was in danger, and sought help from Islamic nations to flame insurgency. Pakistan's strategist succeeded in luring the Muslim youth with the active collaboration of various Islamic organizations in Kashmir, playing the Pakistani game, and received official patronage from the government. Thus, Pakistan trained and indoctrinated the Muslim masses of Kashmir for jihad, establishment of Nizam-e-Mustafa, annexation of Kashmir to Pakistan, and for snapping ties with Hindu India. Steps taken by government to tackle insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir. The steps taken to tackle insurgency are as follows. First point, Operation All Out. The Indian Army launched Operation All Out in 2017 to eliminate the militant networks, their overground workers, and top militant commanders. Second, Operation Sadbhavana. The Indian Army carried out Operation Sadbhavana initiative in Jammu and Kashmir to address aspirations of people affected by terrorism and bring them towards mainstream. Third, infrastructure development. The government will focus on infrastructure development, education, women and youth empowerment, health and sanitation. Fourth, rehabilitation package. The government has announced financial package for the rehabilitation of surrendered militants. Fifth, search operations. Indian Army has carried out search operations and flushed out terrorists who have been hiding in civilian areas. Sixth, vigilance. The government has tracked and curtailed illegal money coming into Jammu and Kashmir for funding insurgency. Seventh, diplomatic isolation. Pakistan has used international forums such as FATF for isolating Pakistan. FATF. Eighth, remove negative perception. India must make efforts to address the negative perception among the people of Kashmir that India is an aggressor. Way forward. Let us see the ways through which we can move forward. First point, social media. Social media spreads misinformation and propaganda. The government has to adopt methods such as blanket bans, monitoring, censoring, and reporting of extremist content, which will help deter the spread of extremist content. Second, district development councils. The council with elected local leaders can ensure good governance and local development. Third, strengthening security apparatus. India should invest in artificial intelligence and drone technology and strengthen intelligence sharing and counter-intelligence operation and secure sophisticated weapons to counter militants. Fourth, financial sanctions. India needs to cut off foreign funding of terror groups operating in the guise of non-governmental organizations. Fifth, education. India must make efforts to remove historical distortions from textbooks and encourage them in intellectual development. Sixth, public outreach. There is a need for new programs that will address the basic problems faced by people of the valley. and the goodwill gesture will go a long way to prevent youths from taking the path of violence. Apart from this, it is essential to rehabilitate the Kashmiri Pandits and win their trust. Thus, the government and the armed forces are taking efforts to achieve the goal of integration with the rest of India.